say, hey, Burkhardt, so what do you want to run in the first segment? He's like, hey, Burkhardt, where you want to go to dinner when we're done? And you know what, Brendan? I respect that. That's where the mind should be, man. Food deserves to be at the top of the list. And last time, Brendan, are you allowed to divulge who you voted for now that it's over?
I think so, but I'm not 100% certain. I'd like to vote again, so I'll just geographically state there. It may have been a player from the state of Idaho. May have been.
Okay, that's fine. I get where you're laying down. Can you just get on board with me real quick before we dive into basketball? Because this is the thing I can't wrap my head around. Now, I don't have a vote. If I had a vote, I would have voted for Ashton Genty. I get the whole Hunter does things on both sides of the ball. But guess what? If snap counts are so impressive and he's playing so many snaps, why wasn't he, number one in the nation in receiving and number one in interceptions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Genty, I like. Now, however, I will not be upset if you told me or anyone else told me I voted for Travis Hunter. I preferred his stats because I very much thought this was a two-horse race. What absolutely irritates me is that there are 40 voters who have the power to vote in the Heisman Trophy race who voted someone other than the obvious two most worthy candidates. Like even Dylan Gabriel, the third most first place votes. Like, I love Dylan Gabriel. I'm a Duck honk. Y'all know this. He wasn't the number one player in the nation. It was one of those two. The fact that Curtis Rourke out of Indiana got 2 first place votes, Brendan, some of y'all Heisman voters need to get your vote taken away.
Yeah, I mean, Chad Doing and I talked about it a little bit on Rip City Drive last week. I mean, I was surprised that Cam Ward made the final selection. I think that was Drive last week. I mean,
that was me. Don't worry.
Oh, I think that was definitely a little, just giving the East Coast their due representation. But I really like to see when they released the pre-rankings that Cam Scatterbo was actually not very far behind. I believe he was actually 5th or 6th, which was really cool to see because I know Chad and I had talked about how he may have been deserving to be in that conversation with the last couple weeks he had in the run Arizona State had. So,
yeah.
For my money, the guy in blue was very impressive to me. And, I don't have a problem with anybody. I know there's a lot of arguments on social media right now, but that's why we vote, right?
Hey, I have no problem with the Hunter Genty debate. I have problem with a guy like Rourke getting first place votes. Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's just stupid. That's just stupid. It's like this whole nonsense you get with Major League Baseball where, like, oh, I didn't put the so-and-so on my ballot because no one should be a unanimous Hall of Famer. Oh, my gosh. So now we're just not voting. Like, come on. We're so – you know what it is, Brendan? And we're going to be it one day when we don't know new media. It's all the old heads. I blame all the old heads. All right, back to basketball talk, though. The Blazers – I had to get Heisman talk in there, man. College football.
Always.
It's the best. The Blazers – that last game we talked about, the home and away. It was a home game just 2 nights ago against the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama. And this was a good game, but a rough game. At the same time, the Blazers took the 118-116 loss to the Spurs. And I do have to give the Blazers some credit in this one. I thought that Jabari Walker played one heck of a game, all things considered. He got the start at center in this one. DeAndre Ayton, he was hurt, so he didn't play. Robert Williams still dealing with the concussion. He didn't play. Donovan Clingan did make his return, but he was on a minutes restriction. He played just 15 minutes. And then Dwop Reith was listed as available. He was doubtful going into the game, but he was listed as available. He did not play. And then you kind of look at the roster and I think the only reason he didn't play is just because he couldn't. But they had to have a guy dressed for roster purposes, right? Like they only went 9 deep in this one and they didn't play their center. But it wasn't a terrible game. There was some highlights. There was some good parts. I mean, when a game starts like this, Brendan, I think you're in for a good time.
Right hand dribble, looks for Wemby. Does he find him? Jabbar just rips the ball out of his hand, just loose on the floor, grabbed by Grant, throws it over his head. Kamar on the drive with the smash.
And that was just right there at the beginning of the game. And what I loved about this, man, and it was just so fitting because it was a player that started that we've talked about so many times on this show. It was Jabari Walker who started that play. He got in there, got the loose ball, got the ball out. They got it in transition. They got the easy dunk. And when you've talked about the spirit and the focus and whatever buzzword you want to use, The buzzword with Jabari is hustle. He is going to hustle, and he's going to make those hustle plays. And that's what that play was. And that's what allowed the Blazers to get out and get the easy bucket. Now, there was other parts about this game that were very nice to see as well. Like a little bit later, the return of Donovan Clingan and him shaking off the rust a little bit.
Delano Banton in the game for the first time, gives it up to Denny Avdia. Gets the screen, hesitates, swings through, looks for Clingan, floats it up, and good. Good feed and good vision from Avdia.
There's also a point in this game that I still need some clarity on, okay? And I'm going to tell you why here in a second, but let's listen to Travis on this call here of, again, Donovan Clingan shaking off the rust.
At the elbow, drives, floats it to Bassey. That's blocked by Clingan. Donovan Clingan officially has recorded a block. That is 18 consecutive games to start his NBA career. He's by himself for the fourth longest streak to start a career with a block. He is one game short of tying Pau Gasol at 19.
Now, you hear that play, and you hear that he continues his block streak, and there was a couple other blocks in that game. Our Sean Hyken was talking about, like, I think I saw like at least 3 blocks from Donovan Clingan. But unfortunately, you look at the box score, and the box score still says 0. They did not credit Donovan Clingan with a block in that game. We'll have to see if that gets changed, if the Blazers do some lifting here. But looking at our stats website, still a 0 there. But regardless, it was really nice to see Donovan Clingan back in the lineup doing what he needed to do to get back on the court after dealing with that MCL strain. And he had a big old fat, as I tweeted out, a Stone Cold Steve Austin-esque knee brace on. Now we just need him to start throwing some stunners, man, and just shocking the world again. But it was just nice to see him out there doing his thing. He ended the night, like I said, he had a minutes restriction. So he played just 15 minutes, but he had to have 7 rebounds and 6 points and a couple block shots that weren't registered, apparently, in those 15 minutes, which is great, especially when the Blazers have struggled mightily on the glass in the past few weeks to get him out there. And again, 7 rebounds in 15 minutes. That's a pretty good pace. It's a pretty good pace, and you love to see it. And of course, you can't talk about this game without talking about Denny Avdia. He was all over the place doing everything the Blazers needed him to do, including this one for the highlight reel.
Long 2, no good. Air ball rebound picked up by Avdia. Across the timeline with some speed again. Drives to the rim and stuffs it home! Timeout Spurs! Do it all, Denny, getting it done. He's got 17.
Do it all, Denny. I think we're going to have to remember that one. I like Travis calling him Do It All Denny. That's going to have to become a thing. But it was just not enough, as the Blazers did get a 17-point lead at one point, but the Spurs just came back in the fourth quarter, and they ended up getting the win. And realistically, not a terrible thing if you're a fan of the Portland Trail Blazers, because when it comes to teams that are worth winning and losing to, it's not bad to lose to a team that you're going to be battling for in the standings for lottery positioning at the end of the year. Not terrible. And when you play a game like that where it's entertaining as heck until the end, it's, I think you can come home okay, just because, again, lottery standings matter. Spurs picked up a game. You lost a game in the right direction. Blazers now sitting at 8-17. That is the 3rd worst record in the West. And that's the 7th worst record in the NBA right now. So we'll see how that all shakes out in the long run. But again, I got to give the Blazers credit. I thought the way they attacked Wemby, they kind of kept him guessing a little bit defensively, which was really good. I like the way Jeremy was attacking him, got some good turnaround jumpers. Ant attacked the rim. No, worries at all. It's like, if you're going to get blocked, you're going to get blocked, but they made Wemby work. I like that. Also, a great game when Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons get back going together, right? Jeremy Grant, 32 points. Anthony Simons, he had 30 in this one after a game where they went, 6 of 25 total. Jeremy Grant was 12 of 19. Anthony Simons was 8 of 15. The three-point shot was dropping for both of them. In fact, Jeremy Grant was so hot in that third quarter, he scored 22 points. And now we've seen a couple of these big bursts in single quarters, right? We saw Ant do it just a few weeks ago. But Jeremy Grant, 22 points in the third quarter. That was a career high for him in a single quarter. He also hit 6 3-pointers. Can't read. But that was also a career high. So that's beautiful performance from Jeremy Grant, right? And then the team scored 46 in the period. It was just beautiful, beautiful basketball. But then in the fourth quarter, it was 38-28 in favor of the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama hits a pair at the line. it was all said and done. Blazers didn't have a timeout because Chauncey wasted a timeout with about 2 minutes left on a review that did not get overturned, so they lose that timeout. And they could have used it at the end because Vic hits those 2 free throws to give the Spurs the 2-point lead. There's 2.4 seconds left. Blazers don't have a timeout. They're forced to inbound. Denny Avdia takes, a half-court shot, and he misses it. And so Blazers fall 118-116. What I do want to point out before we go to break, though, is I did see some fans questioning that play call and saying, why was Denny taking that shot? Why didn't you get the ball, or why didn't you get the ball into Jeremy's hands? He's your best three-point shooter, et cetera, et cetera. And if you watch that play, I actually think it was a pretty good drawn-up play for the fact they didn't have a timeout to go to. They just had to know what they were running. You could see Denny and Tumani communicating prior to the inbound right there at the free throw line. You can also see Ant communicating with Billups during the first free throw. And if you watch that play, it looks like what happens is Ant sets the pick for Denny to go around. I think what the Blazers are looking for is they're looking to see if who was guarding him. Can't remember who was guarding him. It might have been Damian Vassell. But anyway, it was if he's going to bite on Denny. If he bites on Denny, there's enough room to get the pass in over Sohan to a cutting Jeremy Grant, who would have got closer to the three-point line and had a wide open three. Defense. Oh, it's Harrison Barnes who it was. Harrison Barnes did not bite on Denny. He stayed in Jeremy Grant's hip pocket. Sohan didn't bite either. He stayed with Ant as the other defender fought over the pick. And so the only open pass was to Denny. Denny runs over. He takes a deep three-point shot. He takes it because the defense is closing in. If he takes another step and a half second off that clock, he's getting contested. So he takes the deeper shot to have the clearer look. And again, I just think he was more of the release valve in that play. I don't think he was the number one option. I think San Antonio defended that inbounds play quite well, and that was the result. A 118-116 loss for your Portland Trailblazers. This is Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you. You can follow me on social at Chris J. Burkhardt. You can follow my guy who bleeds black and orange, but also has an affinity for blue and orange. You can follow him at B_slot. And, of course, you can go to youtube.com, join the chat, or you can dial 503-248-0620 to get in on the chat with us here. We'll take a quick break, though. When we come back, we'll head to the Coach's Corner, hear what Chauncey Billups had to say following that loss to the Spurs. Chris Burkhardt here. This is Blazers Game Day, presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you as always. You can follow us on social here at Chris J. Burkhardt and B_slot. Get in on the Heisman and Blazer conversation. You can also go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio 620. Join the chat with us there. And the phone lines are always open. 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. But Brendan, get the button ready. It is time to head to the Coach's Corner.
For the latest on tonight's lineup, injuries, and matchup, let's head to the Coach's Corner with Chauncey Billups.
As I like to say, let's get in that DeLorean, go back in time. Hear what Coach Billups had to say following that 118-116 defeat at the hands of the Spurs.
Well, Coach, just in general, how do you come away from that one? You feel good about the way you performed? You feel bad that you lost a 17-point lead? Kind of where do you end up?
I think you in this position, you all of the above. I thought we played, we just really couldn't get it going offensively, I thought, in the first half, but our defense was humming pretty good. We had a couple tough stretches. We come in down 10 at the half, and I thought, we'll just keep playing right. I just told them, just keep playing the right way. We're getting good looks. We're creating good opportunities we just couldn't make at that time. And then, boom, we catch fire, just playing the right way. I was happy that we didn't get bored playing the right way. We did that. Jeremy caught fire. Everybody, shoot 46 points in the quarter was an incredible quarter. And then I thought we continued it on a little bit in that fourth. You're up 17. And, I thought we, as a group, let our guard down. I really did. I thought we let our guard down. They did an amazing job of stepping up their pressure. They started pressuring. They turned us over some. There was three or four like kind of tips or loose ball situations that we didn't get to. And when they got to it, boom, they scored a three, and it just kind of snowballed a little bit, Getting that spot, you call timeout here, timeout there, you try to calm the waters, make a sub here, you try everything, So it was a tough loss, it really was, but I was proud of our group. I thought we played hard as heck, and so many things to learn from in that fourth quarter.
Was it good to see Jeremy and Ant both have games like this with kind of how up and down they've both been this season?
Yeah, definitely. They both have struggled offensively, so it was good to see them kind of look normal, and I know 22 points in a quarter is not really normal for anybody, but those are shots that Jeremy hits. We've seen it for years here. Though he makes those shots and at a pretty good clip. And then Ant, kind of got going. It was really good to see that as well.
How do you think Donovan looked?
Who? Donovan? Oh, I thought he was good. A little bit rusty down there, but just having him back out there, obviously you see the impact that he has, at the rim. And not just protecting the rim, but rebounding the ball. So I thought he was okay.
15 minutes that he played, is that what they told you could do?
Mm-hmm.
If his restriction had been 16 minutes, would you have had him in on the last possession?
Probably.
Despite losing, do you feel good about the execution in the final minutes to get key baskets to tie the thing and just show the execution?
I thought we executed really well out of the timeouts, in the fourth quarter. It was just when the play kept going, we didn't really get organized enough, and we weren't able to get set up enough to run things properly, which their pressure kind of took us out of that. But I did, I thought, out of timeouts and out of slow ball situations, we did a good job of setting up. We got Ant a layup here. We got, there was one big play in the game out of timeouts. Ant came off by himself, three up top. I thought that was a big shot that he, we missed a shot, but he got a wide open shot. I thought we did a pretty good job of executing.
And there you hear Coach Billups after the game. The only thing I don't like, see, that's me cringing. That's me cringing and holding back. What have I been saying the last few weeks? I don't like the excuse of I didn't like our focus, right? I didn't like our spirit, which was another buzzword for focus. Well, this time it was, I thought we let our guard down. Well, if you let your guard down, that's a focus issue. So again, that comes back to the original thing, the original problem. Focus. Just getting prepared and how coach continues to battle that with this roster and make sure that they do not let their guard down. And yes, we've said many times part of that is coaching. I wonder how much of that is just the fact too that, I mean, this is something fans have always talked about is like Ant is he's kind of reserved, right? Pretty even keel, right? Jeremy Grant, pretty reserved. Shaden Sharp, pretty quiet, pretty reserved. You don't kind of have that vocal guy who's just like, kind of kicks you in the butt. You do have one, but when he's not playing, it's hard for him to make an impact because I think there's a guy on this roster in Robert Williams who's that kind of like go out there, take care of business, lead by actions, people will follow, right? So hopefully he can go tonight. We haven't seen an update yet. As I said that, no, I got no Twitter notification. I was excited, and maybe it was the PR had updated, but they hadn't updated. Yesterday, their update was DeAndre Ayton is still out with an illness. Matisse Thybulle will be out with right ankle sprain. Robert Williams is questionable as he returns to competition reconditioning. And again, if he's able to go tonight, that's a big deal for the Blazers. According to our Sean Hyken, he's very, very close, as he said with Chad on last game on Friday with on the River Drive. I mean, there was a chance that Rob would have played in that game against the Spurs. He was just a late scratch. So he's right there, man. And as I've told you guys, gosh, if you had a concussion, that stuff sucks. That stuff can linger. Like, there's a reason, if you pay attention, he hasn't been at the games. He was at the game Friday, which is a very, very good sign. Because up until then, he wasn't at the games because if you got a concussion, just sitting on the bench and dealing with the stadium audio and the lights and all that stuff, that can just give you another crippling headache and just knock you out. So glad to see him in the building. And again, there's a good chance that he could play tonight against the Suns. We'll give you an update as soon as we get the latest injury report from the Trailblazers. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we return, it's time for our Coors Cold Hard Facts. We still got some keys to the game to hand out. Reminder, Brendan, we're not handing out Chad's keys to the game. Brendan's probably going to accidentally play. It's time now for Brendan Slaughter's keys to the game. Like, I didn't even know that one was in the system. You little sneak. Smart play, though. That's how you get in there. But don't go anywhere. Plenty more coming up here on Blazers Game Day. Presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers. Rip City Radio, 620.
It's time for the Cold Hard Facts. Presented by Coors Light, Mountain Cold Refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly.
Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Time now for your Coors Cold Hard Facts. And the fact is, 'tis the season. And I'm not talking about the holidays. 'Tis trade rumor season. So this is my fact and my reminder to you to not believe everything you hear and to not consider that every report is leading somewhere, to something significant. Okay? I mean, you already saw the Shams report, right? Kyle Kuzma rumored the Blazers and this team and that team have shown interest. And, you saw the one the other day, and our Sean Hyken pointed it out too, that was like, teams have been calling the Blazers showing interest in Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, and Robert Williams. It's like, you don't say. You don't say. Oh, like the three guys who have the best trade value on this team, people are interested in possibly trading for them? Color me shocked. I had no idea until you said sources and made a report about it. Oh, thank you so much, Shams. Okay? Keep in mind that this is the time of year where every GM is calling every other GM. I'm sure multiple general managers have called the Blazers and been like, hey, so how we feeling? What you doing? Doesn't necessarily mean they are interested. It means they're making calls, all right? You are a terrible GM if at this point of the year when the trade windows are opening up, you are not calling other GMs and seeing interest levels and how things are going. That's your job. Do that job. So I'm here to remind you, cold hard fact, don't believe every report you hear. Okay? Keep in mind that some people are getting fed their information from agents and general managers and are doing their best to continue to keep those relationships. I always said this for the longest time. If Woj, who's no longer on the beat anymore, if Woj was reporting it, came straight from a general manager. If Shams reported it, it came straight from an agent. And if Chris reported it, it came straight from a player. Like that was kind of my general rule of
Good
thumb.
rule of thumb.
Okay. And keep in mind too, I mean, sometimes they're carrying water for the wrong person. And Shams kind of bungled that Gary Payton report, right? Tore it all and all that nonsense.
Oh, yeah. And then it's actually funny you mentioned it, Chris, because no disrespect to Woj, but I actually realized yesterday I still had notifications on, and I go, yeah, I just don't care about St. Bonnie's basketball to keep these notifications on, Woj. So good luck in his new endeavor, but no more push notifications, Chris.
Yes, I turned those off very quickly. But that's just my fact, guys. Don't get excited when you start reading the reports and this and that. The reports are, they might get you in the right direction, but just because you see Kyle Kuzma or, the Lakers called about Jeremy doesn't necessarily mean a deal's imminent. GMs are doing their due diligence, and we have reached this point where those big talking heads, they report every little cricket that they ever heard. Like, report, Joe Cronin called Danny Ainge. Yeah, he was asking him what his dinner plans were because he was in town. Didn't mean he was talking about a trade. And even if he was, doesn't mean anything's going to happen. So just calm down. Understand that the Blazers are going to be linked to a lot of teams because there's going to be a lot of teams looking to make moves. And the Blazers do have some players that are definitely intriguing. All right, we're going to take our final break of the show, though. We had lots of breaks today. Whoo, boy. Got to get him in. If you want to continue the conversation, go on youtube.com. Get in the chat. We'll chat there. I promise. All right, but when we come back, keys to the game. What do the Blazers have to do to grab a victory over the Phoenix Suns down in Arizona? Chris Burkhardt here with Brendan Slaughter on Blazers Game Day, presented by Coors Light on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. like bottom 10 basically here. They are 20th. The Blazers are 23rd when it comes to the rankings of rebounding. And the Blazers are going to get a good influx tonight because, as Casey Holdall just tweeted, Donovan Clingan will get the start tonight. We'll see an uptick in his minutes, and Robert Williams is also available. So you're going to have two very, very good rebounding bigs tonight against the Suns. DeAndre Ayton dodging his old team again, though. You got to be careful. Watch out there, okay? But offensively, the Blazers are very, very good on the offensive glass. They average 12.8 per game, which is the 5th best number in the league. And with Donovan Clingan healthy and to go, that number can go up because that's really where he excels. As for the Suns, they are one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to offensive rebounding, 9.3 per game. So the Blazers can just attack their offensive glass and then defensively keep them off the offensive glass. I think that's going to lead to some really good opportunities for the Blazers, especially to get out in transition. Secondarily, the other day I was like, hey, let them take 3 points because, you want them to, they're not a good 3-point team. I think this might have been Dallas or whatever game it was. I can't remember. They all blur together. But the Suns are a good 3-point shooting team. They average 39.7 attempts, which is 7th most in the league. Interestingly enough, that's top 7. The Boston averages 50.3. This is not your mama's NBA. Let me tell you what, that's crazy. So find ways to defend the 3-point arc. Force him to get the ball inside the paint because you know what's going to be waiting inside the paint for him tonight? Donovan Clingan, a blocking machine. Robert Williams, a blocking machine. Get him in the paint. Let these bigs do their work now that you got him healthy. All right, don't go anywhere. The Trailblazers pregame show with Chad Doing is coming up next all across the Trailblazers audio network. Tip-off at 5 with Travis Demers on the call. And, of course, after the game, right back here on Rip City Radio, your home of the Portland Trailblazers. It will be the 5th quarter. Phone lines will be open. Chats will be ready. And hopefully we're breaking down a Trailblazers win.